doctor's appointment, and I'm just there.
That's right, man. I love that. I love that. Glad that you're able to do that with them. All right, guys, we'll get started officially in 2 minutes. So thank you guys for being here once again. Shout out to the people that were mentioned in the meeting, that won an award yesterday, that got an honorable mention, that were top producers. So thank you guys for being here back with me another session today. So we're gonna have some fun, get a few more people in the room, and then we'll go ahead and get cracking. We do have a guest on the line today. He's brand new to the team. I don't even think all of his onboarding paperwork is in, but Delmar Gomez, welcome officially to Team Fast. Thank you for being here to your first coaching session, my brother. So nice to have you, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Thank you so much. It's great to be a part of this team. I was at the awards ceremony yesterday as well. It was amazing. It was pretty fun. Really, really fun. Really fun to be there.
Well, we're glad that you're here. And just so you guys know, this is a referral from Will. They met at a listing. He had nothing but great things to say about Will's interaction, his communication skills. And Will obviously reps the brand, told him about the company, and here he is now, brother. So looking forward to supporting your journey. We will officially get started in 1 minute, you guys. Thanks for being here. And Kim. So Kim Liu, how is the 70-day hard going for you?
It's going really well because I'm putting everything in the calendar, so I pretty much know what I have to do to get it done.
Okay, cool.
So I already did my workout, indoor workout, and then in a couple hours I'm gonna do a quick hike, get that done, and come back and make some calls. So it's just really trying to plan your day, making sure you get everything in before it gets dark.
That's right. That's right. And just so you know, Kim, I have not started, and the only reason why is because Amanda and I committed to doing this together. She got really, really sick. Fortunately, it is not COVID. And so she said, would you wait for me? I said, I'll wait for you because I wanted to do this together as a couple. And so
Aww.
I'm just waiting a couple, but I'm ready. I'm ready. I've been doing the 2 workouts a day just to get ready. And I've been drinking the water just so I can get ready. But man, I am going to the bathroom so many times.
Yes. That's the hard part. You can't plan that. You just go.
Yeah. So middle of our meeting yesterday, it was a 2-hour meeting. I'm like, Kenny, can you take over for a second? I had to run to use the restroom because it was that bad. So, all right, guys, let's officially get started. It is 8:35 on this beautiful Wednesday morning, January 12th. You guys, we have a lot of great stuff to talk about today. But once again, thank you for being there yesterday if you attended. We had one of the highest attended meetings that we've ever held. And I think it was fun. I think the style was fun. I think it was different. I think it really encapsulated who we are as a company, and it really got to showcase different, people and their different strengths within the organization. My favorite slide, though, and I'm being biased, you guys. I love all the slides, but man, to me, and your slide really looked dope. You looked like you were on the cover of a magazine. That was the whole intent, like Vanity Fair edition. But man, to me, and I'll tell you what, bro, that looked really sharp. What are your friends and family saying about that? Like when you post it on social, what are people saying?
Oh, it was a cheat code. I had a random photographer that just showed up at a studio one night, and he shoots like commercials and shit. He took the photo and it just made me look really good. And you guys found like the best picture of me. But no, my wife was talking about it to everybody all day. She was like, oh, he did this. And she's telling the baby when she gets home from school, like she cares. But no, I mean, it was such a good idea. Like, for me personally, it's a little weird to take compliments and shit like that. But at the same time, the effect that all of that whole ceremony had on all of us, it just felt hella gratifying. And it was just cool, man. And I've never been a part of anything like that. It was tight.
Dude, it was cool. And like seeing PK up in lights, or Nestle, you were on there, Rebecca, I mean, like Pamela here and the Spivey Daniel real estate group. It was just really, really cool to see you guys in lights and honor you. And so hopefully you're going to use that on social, create some cool reels. For some reason, I don't know, PK, are you not able to add more than 10 pictures on a reel nowadays? Before you're able to add.
You can add 1 million photos if you want. It doesn't limit you to number of photos.
Okay,
It just has to be 30 seconds.
Because okay, that's why. So I had
So
a
you need to
short.
just make it like really fast moving.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool. All right,
So
cool.
used to not be a time limit on reels, right?
Yeah. So anyways, all right, guys. So we'll have that conversation. PK, maybe you could show me something if you're in the office. So let's go ahead and do this. Pamela Spivey, I'm glad that you're here. Hopefully you are feeling better. Hopefully Michael is feeling better. But let's go ahead and get right into this. I'm going to turn it over to Zyra. Zyra, are you there? Or are you at the gym?
I'm here. I'm driving.
What's up? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thanks for being here this morning. Zyra, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. I want you to bring us out of the tunnel, and I want you to bring us out of the field on this beautiful Wednesday morning.
Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's having a good day. It's hump day. And I'm feeling so grateful today. The weather is nicer, and it just makes me feel so much more productive. And less in a funk. So I hope everyone's having a good week, and let's get this coaching meeting done.
Yes. Here's what I want to do today. Obviously, you guys, today is about talking about the real estate market. But a lot of times what I hear, and this is from all agents from all different experience levels, like what to say, when to say, how to say it, how to understand behavior, how to understand communication, and how to understand how to relay what's happening in a real estate market. If you are newer to this business, you are still learning this. If you're an experienced agent, there's things that you say that you could truly provide value in this space. And so that's why I love this group. There's 53 people here that are from different experience levels. We have people that have been in the business 20 years. We have people who have been in the business for 2 minutes, right? So what we want to do today is we want to have a high-level conversation about the market. First things first, when we are talking about the market and we're having the conversation, typically this conversation is going to come up when you're first having that initial conversation. But if it doesn't, it should come up during the buyer's consultation. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. Feel free to, anyone chime in. Is there a place in the buyer's presentation that you guys typically take some time to stop and to talk about the market and talk about what your strategy is going to be and how you're going to get their offer accepted in this competitive landscape? Is there a place in the buyer's presentation that you stop and spend a little bit of time talking about, the market and educating your client? Where does that happen during your flow? Anybody take the mic? I want to hear where this happens in your flow. Then I'm going to give you some suggestions and some talk points around this. So who wants to tell me? Go ahead, Michael.
Typically I've been doing it like at the end, towards the end of the last thing I covered in the buyer's consultation.
Okay, cool, good stuff. And Michael, we're going to come back to you. Who else, you guys? When do you guys start talking about the market, talking about the strategy, and how you're going to get offers accepted in this competitive environment? Where are you guys?
Can I chime in?
Please.
So I haven't done a buyer's consultation, but I've been kind of practicing, and I think the best part for me to bring it in is where we talk about like what team I belong with, because it has a lot to do with what benefits them as a buyer. Just having so many people on the team, you have more off-market opportunities that people are bringing into our attention for our buyers. So I think that would be the part where I would bring it in.
Love it. I love it. Let's hear from 3 other people. Where are you guys entering the conversation about talking about the market and what your strategy is in order to get offers accepted in this competitive landscape?
Hey, this is Dan here. Can I jump in?
Dan.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
So I usually bring it in towards the end, and typically when I get a sense that I've got good rapport with the client, they're like excited about buying a home, because what's going on with the market is often like, all right, and here's the bad news. But lead in with the question of how familiar are you with the market? Usually whatever they're saying, it's okay, great. And so here's what's happening specifically in Sacramento, because everyone's got the CNN or Fox News headlines, but not so much the local market stuff. And then end that with, because it's competitive, multiple offers, over asking price, all that stuff. And then end it with, okay, and so here's what we do to make sure your offer gets accepted, and then get into strategy.
Love it. I love it, Dan. And the verbiage around this. I'm gonna pull up a script in a second. And now, mind you, the script is meant to be a baseline for you. You grow it from there. However, being able to ask clients, so Ernesto, tell me what you know about the current real estate market. What is happening in our real estate market? Okay. What do you know about the real estate market and what type of market that we're in currently? And where are you getting that information? Okay, cool. You listen to them and say, okay, cool. Let me give you the reality of what is actually happening in the Walnut Creek market. That's when you really pull your nuances, how many offers are getting written, the competition levels. We'll go through all that in just a moment, but Dan, really, really good point. Bill, I'm going to go over to you, rapid fire, my man. When are you bringing this up in the presentation during your time with the client about your strategy and about the market conversation? When are you bringing this up?
I actually bring it up right up front. One of the first things I look at every client, listing, buyer, as a job interview. While I'm interviewing you, you're interviewing me as an agent, but I'm interviewing you to check your personality, your demeanor, and if I even want to work with you. Because not everybody's going to be a favorable thing. So I usually bring it up front and I'll ask questions like, hey, we can definitely find you a house, but what's your dream house? What's your backup and what are you willing to settle for? Because we're going to have to look at all those in this venture to find you what you want. So the more open and willing you are, the more I can help you in this market. I tell them right up front, get off Zillow, get off Realtor, get off everything. Go to my website, register on my website. It will let me know your interests, what you're tracking. I throw them to my website is their only search engine. And I'm honest with them right up front, is this something you're willing to look at? Because if not, I can't help you no matter what kind of assets I have. I can't help you if you're not going to be realistic with what's there.
Good stuff, Bill. Good stuff. I love it. I saw Brittany Wade. You raised your hand. Brittany, let's hear from you.
Oh, hi. I'm actually a guest listener. I'm possibly going to be meeting with you and talking about joining your team, but I accidentally raised my hand.
Oh, no worries. Well, hi, Brittany.
Hi. But this
Sorry,
is
we have
great. Yeah, no problem. But you guys keep going. This is great information. I'm excited to at some point meet you and have a conversation. So thank you.
I'm Elias.
Thank you, Elias.
Okay. So Ernesto, I want to hear from you, brother. I know that you're a man of strategy, you're a man of calculation. So I want to know, where are you having? And obviously the conversation is going to be different, but I usually follow a roadmap, and I'm going to talk about that roadmap in a minute. But Ernesto, what about for you? When are you entering the conversation about the market and having that strategy conversation?
For me, it's towards the end, and I did a buyer's consult 2 days ago, and it was a good refresher. So going through the buyer's consult explains the process to the buyer, and it demonstrates that you know how the process works at a high level, and that's the science. But I always tell people it's part art, part science to get your offer accepted. I will look at inventory and set the right expectations. So depending on what city they're looking in, so it sounds easy enough, but inventory in the area that you're looking at, let's be real, it's going to be a challenge. I was looking at inventory in Concord, for example. There's a total of 22 single family homes in Concord across all price points, which is crazy. So it is towards the end. It is towards the end for me. And again, pulling up that market data. And also, the other thing I do is, put yourself in the seller's perspective. And if you receive multiple offers based off how contingencies work, which one would you accept and why, to get them to understand what it's like to be a seller receiving those offers as well. So a couple of things.
Yeah, I love that, Ernesto. I love that. Jeff, you had your hand up, brother. You wanted to chime in? Jeff, did you have your hand up? Sorry, I thought I saw your hand up. All right, cool. We'll keep cruising. Sylvia, you had your hand up, rapid fire. Let's hear from you. Where do you bring this up and how are you having that conversation?
Good morning. I bring it up about 3/4 of the way in. I try to do it in a kind of a chronological type of manner. I'll start off with, telling them about getting the whole process, getting pre-approved, then looking for the home, finding something that they like. And then when we get, after they found something that they like and we're ready to write the offer, then that's when I'll talk about the market conditions so that they will understand, and so that we can come up with a competitive strategy on what we're going to offer, what terms we're going to offer. And then I go on to talking about after it's accepted and what happens in escrow. So I bring it up about 3/4 of the way in.
Okay, good stuff. Jeff, you had your hand up, brother.
Yes, sir. So for me, I typically bring up the market in the offer part of the buyer's presentation. Typically, we start talking about their why, diving into the why as soon as we get into that, so that they have that at the forefront, and we really frame that conversation as, hey, look, you might hit some speed bumps in this market, and then we go into the market. But hey, in the long run, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years from now, what is it going to be worth for you and your family? So typically right there in that offer period is where I'll start to dive into the market. And then especially at the end, I'll bring it right back to it as well.
Beautiful. Jeff, I love this. Let's hear from one other person. I'm going to share some examples with you, Joellen. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I do it kind of like Jeff does. When we get ready to talk about the offer, that's when I throw in the strategy and how we're going to get them accepted. And I also bring up a recent client that I just got their offer accepted. So I relate a story of how we did it.
Beautiful. I love this. All right, guys. So I'm going to share some things with you. This asset lives in the, just search buyer's consultation. You'll be able to see this asset. We posted this last year, but I think it's a good refresher, especially why we're having this conversation, while we're having this conversation. So you'll see this template in Slack, and it is titled Buyer Consult in a Competitive Market. Some of this stuff will apply, and some of this stuff is super, super evergreen. And this is for you to truly, truly take a position of educating your clients. What happens is that they're relying on you to give them more than what they can find on their own. If you are not providing more than what they can see on Zillow, Redfin, all these other sites, and if you can't give them more of more information and intel about what's actually going on in the market, then why do they need you? Right? Why wouldn't they just go to a Redfin person that's going to open the door? Because the husband's an analytical type and he understands all of the data across the board in every single market, super analytical, super astute, and he understands the market. So you guys have to take the position that I'm going to, no matter what, put people on game. The way that I'm going to put people on game is I'm going to truly, truly understand my market. And so let's go through some of the scripting. Once we go through some of this and some of the dialogue, I'm going to turn it back over to you guys. And I want to hear how you're having the conversations. And you can pick a market that you're working in, pick a market that you've been offering, writing offers in, or just, you know, kind of freestyle through this and make up some shit. And if you're not writing any offers right now. So this market is not for an unmotivated buyer. So this is done during your buyer consultation or during your initial discovery conversation. So like I said earlier, meet them where they are. I'm curious, what have you heard that is occurring in the real estate market locally, right? People know, they hear, they see the news, they watch, but do they understand the nuances of, like Ernesto said, what is going on in Clayton? What is going on in Concord? What is going on for townhouses and condos in the Walnut Creek area? What's going on in Oakland? Like, you guys need to get super, super specific. So based on what they tell you, you ask them, where did you get that information? Is that from a friend, family member? Did you read that? Okay, cool. Let me take a moment to quickly share with you the reality of what is actually occurring in our local real estate market today. Homes for sale. And these are older numbers, you guys. I pulled this up a while ago, but you guys can take this script and you guys can fill in the data based on where you guys are writing offers and meeting clients at. All right, so let me share some data with you, Kevin Magna. I know that you like numbers, so let me share with you what is happening in the East Bay alone. Number of homes for sale in the East Bay dropped more than 30% year over year. In Oakland, homes are for sale are down 4% year over year. Buyers are paying historically high prices throughout the East Bay. Average days on the market from 32 days to 22 days this last year. That number is even lower in certain areas. So the idea behind this script, you guys, is to be able to break down and compartmentalize all these things that you guys are understanding about the market. I hear this all the time. I'm not a math person. I'm not a data person. I'm not a percentages person. But I'll tell you what, ask Melody Cleone. She's dealing with a person right now that is what? that wants stats, that wants figures, that wants data, that wants spreadsheets. And so she's like, shit, where do I get all this information? I promise you, if she goes back to this buyer and says, okay, I have what you're looking for, let's go over all the data, her buyer is going to love her and really, really respect that she was able to do this. So will this market sustain? Well, we actually don't have a crystal ball, but what we do know is what's driving the market right here locally is what is driving the market global, or excuse me, nationally. Millennials are driving our market. Millennials are 31% of the overall population in the US. And as a reference, baby boomers represented 27% of the population at their height. 31% of millennials, that equals 70 million people. Over 70% of the millennials want to purchase in the next 3 years. That means 50 million buyers. The National Association of Mortgage Bankers state that 45% of all mortgages are millennials. So when you read through some of this stuff, and this is why the script is super, super, super important, you guys, I want you guys to have a high-level dialogue. This isn't about just knowing the numbers, but how to communicate that. The only way that you're going to get really good at communicating this is if you practice this, right? If you bring life to the words that you say. Like Mel, she says, okay, I need to understand this data. Once she understands it, she puts it in her style. She's able to deliver this message. Even if she doesn't consider herself to be an analytical person, we have to wear that analytical hat depending on who's in front of us and how to explain this. I always say this, you guys, and remember this. You're two things in this business. You have to be a leader and you have to be a teacher. You have to be able to teach people throughout the process. Melody, let me turn it over to you. You had a question and I'll keep cruising in just a minute, but let me stop my share. Melody, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, more of just a comment on this subject, because I am dealing with a very data-driven, spreadsheet, numbers type of a mind. And so I don't really have a question, but it's interesting because even though it makes me really, really uncomfortable to deal with just data and spreadsheets alone and like no emotion, interestingly enough, I actually love the fucking challenge, because it makes my mind work in a way that it's not used to working in. And it also makes me think that, wow, to be in a sales industry that's very competitive, if I want to be the best, if I want to sharpen my skills, if I want to do, 30 deals this year, I'm going to have to adapt myself to all different personality types. I can't just put myself in a box and say, I only want to work with an emotional buyer that's going to come and be my best friend all the time, because no, that's not the case. And so this buyer has really challenged me in a good way, because I've had to outreach. I've had to ask Roxanne, I've had to ask Jen, I've had to ask Kenny and Elias, and I'm going into Slack and I'm having to do a lot of research and figuring out, what are the stats on crime in the area? What's the data on, year over year sales? And it's actually really refreshing, because I'm learning a lot of information about different areas of the Bay Area that I normally don't sell in and that I normally don't think about. And so, any feedback my data analysts on here or anyone that's super number driven can give me as far as how you provide information would be super, super helpful, because I'm actually super into this right now and I want to get better at it. So if anyone has like a certain way of delivering the message, then please let me know, because I would love to learn. I would love to shadow you on this subject.
I love it. I love it, Mel. And you guys, if you want to know, what home values were 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, to show people, well, is it a good investment, right? You can pull up all the archive reports on Bayes.com. You can go back and look like, what? Danville sold for what 8 years ago? It's mind blowing, you guys. So the fact that you have to really dive in, you have to learn these things. And there's tons of resources. Obviously, we created that video last week. You guys can dive in, but I want to share a couple things more with you on this. So this here is, here's the strategy and what we'll use to beat all of the offers and get ours to get accepted, right? When we correlate this with this page of the buyer presentation, I feel that this is a perfect time for you guys to really start talking about your strategy. You guys should have a formula. You guys should have a flow. You guys should have a dialogue, and you should have all of your numbers, stats, and everything pulled up. We'll do this on next week's call. I'm going to show you how to pull comps in a particular area, and I'm going to show you how to look at all of the offers written on each home. And then I want you guys, based on that data, to tell me what the conversation you would have with your client so I can hear this. But if you guys are on offer time and you guys are going to be talking about the market, and I want to hear from you guys and what that sounds like, because we're all going to learn from each other. This is where you really go in. And so when you get to this page, and you're talking to your client, you're sitting down at the table and you're explaining this page. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is where we're really going to dive into the data, and where we're really going to talk about what it's going to take to get your offer accepted in this competitive landscape. Mr. Buyer, it is my responsibility, it's my obligation. Hey, Evelyn. Hey, Nicole. Okay, thanks. So let me go back. Sorry, Mr. Buyer, it is my responsibility, it's my obligation and duty to make sure that I'm educating you on everything that is happening in our local market. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all of the recent sales, and I'm not only going to show those to you, I'm going to share with you what the house is listed for, what they sold for, and how many offers were written on each of those properties. Based on the data, what we're going to do is we're going to develop a strategy based on what the data says for that particular market. Now, every single market is different, so every single home you're seeing, we're going to do the same exact process. Now, at the end of the day, Mr. Buyer, I'm going to write the offer that you want me to write, but I'm also here to educate you and keep it very realistic based on what the numbers are saying. In this particular community, any house that has sold over the last 6 months has sold for 10 to 15% over. So if you don't feel that you could come up to that point, then we probably should start at a lower price point. That way you have some room to grow. So every single time that we're going to go and write an offer, I'm going to make sure to educate you, because the last thing that I want you to do is fall in love with the home that you cannot realistically get an offer accepted on, because there's so much competition. And then, like I said, I'm going to show you how many offers were written on each of these homes, because if 123 Main Street had 19 offers on the property, they only accepted one. Where else are all those buyers? They're still in that local market looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So we're still up against some really strong competition. So it's my job to truly educate you on what's happening locally and make sure that we're doing the best effort to get your offer accepted, because that's my job. Right? That's my job, is to make sure to get your offer accepted and get you and your family into a new home and help you start building wealth. That's the dialogue I would have with every single client that I have. Now, depending on where you are in the conversation, you might take a left turn, you might take a right turn, you might dive in a little bit deeper. You're going through your comps, you're sharing with them. And then this is what I heard from the listing agent. Be masterful at your discovery when you're working with the listing agent. Get as much information that you can. That way you can receive or relay that information back to your buyer and back to your consumer. And then that way they're like, wow, okay, you got this data, you got this. So, Mr. Ernesto, based on what's happening in the market, what do you feel would be a strong offer amount for this particular home, right? Help them realize on their own that you have no fucking chance in hell getting an offer accepted if you're going to come in that low, right? I can't say that too early, though. I have to educate them and take the steps ahead of time. And then they're like, all right, Kenneth, I see you. And that makes total sense. Here's what we're thinking. What do you think, Elias? The biggest compliment that you'll get as an agent is, Melody, what do you think? What do you think we should offer on this home? If a client says, what do you think we should offer on this home? Guess what that you've done? You've built trust. They trust you enough to say, you know what? Melody knows her shit. She's not just saying interest rates are high, inventory's low, strike while the iron's hot. In the next couple months, interest rates are going to be hiking up. Get in a home now. Fuck that. It's too surface level. You guys have to get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you have to have that style of dialogue. So, with that being said, I would like to turn it over to one of you, 3 of you, 5 of you, and I'd like to hear how you're explaining the market right now. You could pick a house that you've been writing offers on. You can pick somebody's story that you've heard from. You can tell the story of a past client like Joellen was saying. But I want to hear right now in this environment, how you are having the market conversation with a client based on the current landscape of what is happening around us. So who would like to volunteer to go first? Because I want us to get better. Who wants to go first?
I will, Elias. Oh.
The Misty Matthews Show. What's up, Misty?
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody.
All right. So I want you to treat me as your buyer. I'm going to ask you the question, and then we're just going to go in right now, okay?
All right. Hey,
All right,
Elias, how's it going?
Hi, it's good, Misty. So yeah, we're excited. We love that house on 123 Main Street, but like, how do we know what to offer on this home? Like, I have no clue.
Well, you know what, Elias? I pulled the last 6 months comps, and I'll tell you. So I saw that the last home about this size, it wasn't as upgraded and has been upgrades, but it sold at about 815. But there's something I want to explain to you. Numbers are great, right? We say, oh, a home costs this much. In this competitive market, you really have to value the home to say, this is where I want to live. I want this home. I want my kids to go to school in this district. I don't want to move out of the area, because I'm going to be very honest. Homes are going above asking, anywhere over 15 to 20%, depending on the home.
So but that means we're going to overpay?
Doesn't mean you're going to overpay, Elias. It means you have to see the value. Is it important enough for you to stay in Brentwood?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, are we going to lose money over the long haul?
You don't lose anything, Elias, until you sell. When you purchase a home, you purchase a home to live in it, grow your family, see yourself raising your kids, having a new baby. You don't lose anything until you sell a home. So I don't want you to go into this thinking,
well, let me ask you a question,
Missy.
How would I lose if I sold the home?
Well, are we selling next year, Elias? Are we buying this home to make it a home, or are we buying for an investment?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I was thinking that we were wanting to transfer to San Diego in 3 years.
In 3 years, you know what? We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know where the market's going to be. But where do you want to be in this 3 years? If we're looking short term, we may want to look in a different market, because this is a very competitive city.
I love that. I love that. And I love that the way that she flipped it on us, right? Because here's the thing. I had a similar case like this. All they wanted to do is live in Maxwell Park. Where were they going in 3 years? They were going to Santa Ana, which is in Southern California. And so it made no sense for them at the height of Maxwell Park last year, mid-year, no contingencies, 25% over asking price. Why would they buy a house if they're just going to move in a couple of years? Because they have to get into equity, which is going to take a little bit of time. But over the long haul, 7-10 years, they're going to have a great asset, right? So, Misty, I love that dialogue. Love that dialogue. Who else wants to go next? And don't be shy, you guys, because if you don't volunteer, I'll probably just call on you guys. Welcome to coaching. All right, Ernesto, I knew it. There you go, big dog. Let's hear it.
I'll do a quick demo if you don't mind.
I would love a demo.
At a recent buyer's consult. So this is probably a little bit more entry level. I know we have a lot of newer people on the call, but I'll go through it really quickly. And share my, what can you?
I don't think looking at the screen, I don't think there's a lot. I think there's a good blend of new and experienced up and comers. Yeah. So go ahead, bro.
It says you have not enabled screen sharing for me.
Oh, and I will do that right now.
So I'll move through this quickly. I don't want to eat up a lot of time, but I had a buyer who is looking at condos. One of the things that I like to do, just when I'm on a just in real time for a buyer's consult, he was looking at condos in Walnut Creek. So I go on Redfin. Instead of for sale, I show what has been sold in the last 3 months, and then I play with his budget. So his budget, he's thinking, is a maximum of, what's the price? I think he said 400,000. He's aware of high HOA fees in Walnut Creek. He needs at least 2 bedrooms because he wants to have his roommate come with him. He is a PhD student at Cal, and I'm specifically looking at condos. So in the last 3 months, condos that have at least 2 bedrooms in Walnut Creek that are under 400,000, there's been a total of 9 of them. So that's not a lot. So we're setting the expectation that he's going to have to be a little bit patient, maybe, or up his budget if he's looking for a condo in Walnut Creek. If I were to play with these parameters and go up to Concord or Antioch, we'd have a lot more inventory, but he doesn't really want to live in those places. But this right away lets me kind of just blame the market and the data on what is actually being sold in the place that he's telling me that he wants to live. So this is one of the things that I do in real time for my buyers. The other thing that I did, Bay East. It's under housing statistics. I go into the archive. Sorry, I'm moving a little bit fast. If anybody wants me to circle back offline, I'm happy to. So I'm looking at attached. So attached inventory is condos and townhouses for December. And this is it. I think Walnut Creek was last on here. So I'll scroll all the way down. Yep, so here we go. Walnut Creek condos and townhouses. So for December of this year, there's 36 active listings. So inventory was historically extremely low compared to the rest of the year and extremely low comparing it to other months other Decembers of years past. The other thing that this helps me level set is how high above a list are we typically going to have to come in at? And for condos and townhouses in Walnut Creek, it's really, really consistent. It's not often that things go 10, 15% above list price as they do in places like Albany and Berkeley, for example. Here, it's pretty mild. So this helps me level set what is, how much inventory is selling for what you're looking for in this area? What's inventory like? What are prices consistently like? And how competitive are we going to have to be on average in order to be competitive in this market? The last thing he asked me was about, is this a good investment? And that's a really subjective question. So I like to ask them, well, what do you consider a good investment? And his response to me was, well, as long as I can cover the rent after I move out, then that for me is going to work. I said, okay, so then there is a website. You can sign up for a free account. It's called Rentometer. You just plug in the address. So I live at 2890 Treat. I'm not logged in, but then you just plug in how many bedrooms and baths that unit has, and it's going to give you approximate market rate. So for him, his approximate payment would have been with a 25% down, even factoring in the HOA and everything, this is with everything, property taxes and everything, about $2,500 a month. And the odds of him being able to rent that property out for $2,500 a month is really, really high, which put him at ease. Okay, great. One day when I move out, because I know this isn't my forever home, I'm going to be able to keep this property and cover the mortgage or potentially cash flow as rents go up. So that put him at ease. So those are 3 free tools that I use in real time when people ask me about kind of the market and inventory. So hopefully that was helpful.
Beautiful, beautiful. And listen, you guys, once again, it's a high level conversation, right? I have been addicted to the bayeast.com. I've always been a member of Bay East, but it's a free site for anybody. I don't care where you're at in the Bay or whether you're not even in this market. You guys can tap into that data, and then you can really look at it from a high level, right? And like Melody said, once you start getting into it, you start to look at the patterns. Now you have this catalog of ideas and thoughts and sharing or information to share that you can provide back to your client. It makes you more valuable, you guys. It makes you more valuable. And who's to say that you can't create a quick video and basically showing people how to do what Ernesto just did? You guys are going to learn cool things on coaching. Why not create a video? People always ask me, what do I create for content? You'll learn something in every single coaching that you can go and create a video on. So Ernesto, good stuff. Let's go over to Pamela, then we'll come over to you, PK, Mel, and then Joe Ellen. Let's go over to Pamela.
Okay, so I was just going to piggyback on Ernesto because I'm on my cell phone, so I can't pull up my stats like Ernesto just did. But to piggyback when he was showing the Redfin, the stats, you can go a little deeper on that one because it also shows you the temperature of that particular location and then that zip code. It'll tell you how many offers, the agents write down how many offers they wrote, if the offer got accepted, and was it all cash, anything you need to know so you can really just fine tune it. And that's really important if you're on Redfin, you want to dig a little deeper on top of what Ernesto was looking at when he's helping his client. And then on Rentmeter, once again, that should be just an automatic regardless when you're doing the whole process. You should have Rentmeter should be part of your process when you're going over numbers with your client so they can understand exactly what the rents are in that area or what the mortgage is. So it makes sense to them so they don't get discouraged when they're writing offers. And they know that regardless to whatever happens, it's going to make sense for them, because everything's long term, right? You don't want to make a decision based on what's today. Well, what about, I believe you were asking Elijah, saying, what about 3 years from now? Well, if you're looking at the rents and if it doesn't make sense to you, if you have to sell, you know, you could rent it out because you know what the renometer is, you know, projecting for you. And then lastly, on the comps for Bay East, if you're doing Bay East, I also have to learn Metro List now. And you can call the, I don't know, the special customer service, and they'll go over it with you. They'll help you understand different stats you need to know. So if you're new, trying to understand stats or what's available, definitely use the customer service. Call David Stark. There's so much value on data that's there, because I have to do the same thing and start all over again with Metro List. And it's a lot of information that's there. So I just want to throw that in there for whatever it's worth.
Absolutely love this. PK, you had some insight.
Yes. So I'm actually working with a couple out-of-state couple that are moving to the Bay Area end of this month, and they have to get a house in the next month or so. And what I've been doing with them is, well, their plans changed. They were first supposed to move in May, so I was kind of taking it easy on them. And now they're like, we have to buy a house. And I had a conversation with them yesterday, and I kind of reverse engineered for them. I said, listen, this is all the homes in the past 6 months in the areas that you're looking for that have sold for your budget. This is how it was listed for. This is the condition of the house. This is how many offers it received. This is what you're looking at. And they were kind of disappointed because in their head, they wanted 3 bedrooms. In their head, they wanted to be in a 7+ school district. In their head, they wanted something that was moderately, you know, beautiful with a yard. And I said, listen, reality is that you need to buy a house. I reverse engineered this for you so you can see with your budget. And again, it is also changing drastically since 6 months ago to now, because inventory is even like lower than 6 months ago. So I want you to focus on the 85% rule. And they're like, what is the 85% rule? I'm like, you have to really narrow down your priorities. And if it's matching 85% of your priorities, if that house is in a safe neighborhood and it has, you know, enough space for your family to grow, like this is how I need you to look at it. We can no longer look at the 100% rule. That doesn't work for you. Or you need to figure out how you can maybe increase your budget so you can land on your, you know, 90% or 95% of your top priorities. And they kind of paused and they just looked at me and they were like, we need to think about this like harder. And I know that it was a little bit like harsh, but I feel like the past 2 months we've kind of been just like, yeah, you know, this, we can write an offer on this, and they're getting beat, you know, of course. So the reverse engineering really works because I'm just literally showing them data like 1, 2, 5 is getting you this, and this is how it's going to go down. So yeah, every client is different though. It's so crazy how every client and their situation and their motivation level and their style, like we have to constantly shift and be flexible with our style of delivery too.
Totally. Absolutely love this. So you guys, I'm going to share something with you, and we'll do this exercise live next week. But I just, when PK was talking, I just ran some comps in Castro Valley just for the sake of this conversation. I ran it for the last 6 months, and I ran 1,200 to 1,500 square feet, maximum of 3 bedroom, maximum of 2 bath. And so what I did here is you're able to pull this data up. And what I would do is if I'm working with a super analytical person on all of this list price versus sales price, you need to show them what that percentage is over asking on this particular market. And then here, if you guys see on this line here, number of offers on the far right here, this is a category that you guys need to add, and it's a field that you just add. So if you just go to your fields and you customize and you add fields, on the left-hand side here, you'll see number of offers. Move that over to your spreadsheet. So when you're going in and you're showing the clients, this is the report that you're actually going to show them. You're going to save this report. You're going to walk through the data, and then you're also going to show them your cloud CMA. So you take all the data that you had and then you show them the fancy pictures and all of that. So they have even more information to go off of, like, all right, cool, let's just take a look at some of these houses so you have an idea of how they were updated, if they were updated, so on and so forth. So you're definitely getting more granular with the way that you're delivering the message. But your comps need to have that field in there. That way you can really, really share that data and show them how competitive each of those homes are in all those markets. So Melody, I wanted to turn it over to you. You know, I know you've pulled a lot of stuff recently. I want to hear some of this this dialogue that you're having with this extremely analytical person that's asking you for all these spreadsheets, data, numbers, stats, figures. So if you could share with us what you have found, what you are talking about with your client, and how you're keeping them engaged.
So I'm still in the process of learning how to create these spreadsheets from bayeast.org. I tried downloading some of them and I have them now. I'm trying to figure out which data points I need to put into the spreadsheet. Yeah. And so I'm playing around with that actually right now. And Ernesto, Coran, everyone that has been writing in the chat, like, I really appreciate you guys. Ernesto, if you can, let's connect after this call. I think it would be super valuable to me. And congratulations, by the way, on ratifying your investment yesterday. So I just wanted to, you know, talk a little bit about the 3 different pricing tiers that Kenny explained to me. I talked to him about, and I also posted this on my stories for you guys that follow me on Instagram, but I posted and I said, how do you deliver a price to your clients? Do you tell them straight up, like, no, your offer is not going to get it? Or do you let them go through the fire and feel the repercussions of this market without, you know, really telling them what they need to offer as an exact price? Because we don't know, right? Like, we don't know. There's been times with some buyers that you've been shocked, like you've told them they need to go 20% over and really, like, you get it for 10% over and you're like stumped. So you really don't know in this market, but I do like the idea of enabling, I do like the idea of giving the buyer the option to create their own price by giving them 3 pricing tiers. And this is from Kenny. So what Kenny had told me was he gives them 3 prices. One is based on the current market value, which is based on previous comps. One is based on the price where most buyers will most likely write in. And then the third one is a prediction of what a winning offer would look like that's above and beyond everyone else because of the current market conditions. So that's exactly what I did with my buyer last night. We had a buyer, comp call, and I basically gave her the 3 options. And it's a fine line because you don't want to tell them what to do. You want them to determine their own price, because if they don't get it, then they know that it was their choice. It was their offer price that didn't get it, or it was their offer price that got it. And so it's a fine line, and you want to build that trust, but you also don't want to lose the client because you're being too aggressive, which I tend to do. I'm a pretty aggressive person. And so I really have to filter that out and monitor that and be very self-aware of the words that I'm using and my tonality and all of that. So long story short, I gave her the 3 tiers last night. She decided to go with her own price. I don't think she's going to get it. She's looking in El Cerrito, up in the hills, a kind of El Cerrito, Richmond View area. The house is listed at $849. The comp support a price of 1.1 to 1.2, and she wants to go in at 995.5, which is what her comps and her data is telling her is a fair market value for that property. And so I tried to push her a little bit more. I was like, there are going to be that percentage of buyers that don't go off of spreadsheets and data, but they will go off of emotions. So are you willing to risk losing the house, even though there's going to be some buyers that go with the top tier and go over and beyond? because they are emotional buyers. She said, yes, I'm willing to walk away from it if I don't get it for the fair market value based on the data. And so we went back and forth for a little while, but then I realized you can't push. I just have to let her go through the motions and realize, you know, it's her offer. She decided it. She made the decision. If she doesn't get it, it's on her. All I can do is guide her and give her my opinion. And so I'm still learning, and I think I could have done a better job, but like I said, I like the challenge. I like that I'm learning a lot working with this client. And so I know it's not going to get it, but I'm still determined to get her into contract on a property. There are some really great deals out there right now. So let's see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted.
But Melanie, did you tell her what price you would go in at? So you let her choose a price, but did you tell her your price? What do you think?
No, I didn't tell her a specific price. I went with the 3 pricing tiers that Kenny recommended. So thank you for Kenny. Thank you to Kenny for giving me that script. And I basically just told her that, you know, these are the 3 prices. And I turned it back to her and I said, knowing this information, what is the price that you would go in at? And regardless of the data, regardless of you know, the emotional aspect of it, she just stuck to her guns and wanted to go with the mid-price range. So I said, okay, you know, that's fine. So I didn't give her a specific price. No.
So what I find with clients like that, right? They think they know everything, right? And the key word you keep saying is fair. In this market, nothing is fair. There's no fair market value. Like, this is all I want to pay. You know what? Well, this house may not be for you. And I know it's hard, like sometimes when you have to tell, you know, buyers that. I recently had someone who wanted to work with me, and I'm just not going to do it. Time is so valuable. Like,
but also, I think here too, Missy, is that it's time for that time is a great time for you, because you're going to have those stubborn buyers that think their way is the better way, no matter how much you've educated them. So then what you do is you go back and you collect all of the data and be like, hey, Tom, I know that we would have been in striking distance and we were actually closer than what we thought. I got some information, some intel from the listing agent, because I know them. They actually got 20 offers, but the offer that they accepted didn't have the best terms, and it was only $25,000 over. In the realm of possibility, I know that you could have gone up 25,000, right? So I want you to know how close we were. And you know, sometimes they have to write multiple offers in order for them to finally be like, you know what, Misty, you have been right this whole freaking time. But for us, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of driving around and a lot of weekends, right? It takes us sometimes, but finally, they're like, hey, remember that house that you wanted? They got it for only $10,000 over asking price. I know that you guys could have gone up that high, so I think it's time to re-strategize. Sometimes they have to figure out the harsh reality on their own. It's unfortunate because it's a time sucker, but I promise you, you're going to have clients like that are, it's going to take you a long time. Last year with Jen, 71 or 61 homes that we showed a client ended up in Belmarin Keys and ended up spending 2.1 million. They started at a budget of 1.5 and went all the way up, right? And oh, we're gonna go here. We're gonna write this little offer. We're gonna try this. Oh, no, we're submit it anyways. They didn't get it until they finally said, tail between their legs, your ideas are better than ours, and we got them a home. So Ernesto, let's go over to you, and then we're gonna close out for the day.
Yeah, I was just going to quickly wrap up. Just like writing an offer is part art, part science. I think delivering that news is the same way, right? We can go over the data and that's the science, but the art is like, hey, I'm your fiduciary. And a lot of people think the word fiduciary means I'm not going to do anything illegal. It's not what it means. It means that I have to look out for your best interest. I want to protect your earnest money deposit, but I also want to protect your energy. And if I set you up to fail, just give you a bunch of false information and write offers that we know have absolutely no chance of getting accepted, you're going to get tired. You're going to get demotivated. I don't want to do that to you. So just reminding them that you're doing it for their best interest, I think is helpful as well.
At the end of the day, you're a winner. You guys are all winners. And I literally had that communication with my clients. You guys, hey, I'm a winner. I write offers are going to get won in this competitive landscape, right? And so it's like, it's all about the strategy, not like, oh, cool, all right, that cool, and like no dialogue around that. There's agents out there. I'm not saying anyone's on the screen. You want to write that? Cool, let's write it up. You want to write that? Let's write it up, right? Every single offer is a science project, and you have to approach it as such. And then you have to do your recon afterwards if it was not accepted. So really good conversation today. You guys appreciate all of the high level insight. We'll go to a couple people for, oh, go ahead.
I have one more script, Elias.
Yo.
I picked up a script from my friend Kenneth at Compass, did 100 million this year. Like when you're writing offers for your clients, if you know it's going to be competitive, you need, like I forget exactly what the script was, that I haven't worked with buyers for a while, but something along the lines of, you know, if you're writing a losing offer, you're actually hurting yourself, because they might not get that many offers, but the more offers they have, the more they're going to leverage those offers to get better offers. So if you're shopping in that neighborhood, you're actually competing to boost the price up on yourself. If you don't win this offer, the price is going to be higher, and then the next sale that happens is going to be even higher. So if you're not going to, especially like on deals that might only get 1 or 2 offers, if you're just going to write one just to write one, and the agent only maybe only has 1 offer, then they're going to leverage yours to get better offer from the other person. Now you're hurting yourself. So like, I think you guys can kind of figure out what that looks like. So you just got to kind of work around getting your buyers not to work, because also you kind of deal with buyer fatigue. If they write too many offers, then they lose. They'll stop working with you. As you know, as strong as I remember working on a client in Maxwell Park. Actually, it was Maxwell Park. I sold their house in condo in Laurel. We wrote 12 offers in Maxwell Park. They would not listen to me, and then they dropped me, and then ended up buying a house in San Leandro. That San Leandro never even came in conversation, because we were so focused on Maxwell Park and writing non-winning offers.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's see this full circle. I'm going to go to Delmar. Delmar, what were some of your key takeaways from today's session? And once again, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me over. It's great to see so many participants and so many people involved in their own process and growing up in this industry. It's great to see all of your ideas, to hear all of your ideas. And I'm taking a lot away from the 3 pricing tiers that someone was working on, to the Ernesto's way to compare Zillow, to use Zillow to compare prices as well, and how many places are available at this time, right? There is a lot to learn.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Let's go over to, let me see. Let's go over to Julia. Julia, takeaways from today's session.
Hi guys. So takeaways are: housing market is low, no inventory, and with an influx in millennials buying, everyone has to stay competitive. So finding the most strategic way to make sure that your offer has enough leverage to, you know, be a strong contender for the sellers is really interesting. And I really love the 3 tiers, because millennials are typically data driven. And of course, we're emotional buyers, because we want to have a market. We want to have a home too. We want to have equity and build, you know, roots where we are. But having that data as a strong background, a strong, you know, secondary option for your sales approach is just so awesome. So thank you for today, Melody. That was awesome. And Ernesto, thanks for all the tips and tricks. And I'm excited to learn with you guys.
I love this, you guys. And listen, this is why we coach, right? This is why we coach. The coaching is not just a singular approach for me and Kenny delivering a message and saying, hopefully you grasp on it. We're provoking this community, and we're provoking, you know, this collective wisdom. And then that's why we learn at such a high level, right? I could call on all of you guys, listen, and I've seen growth, right? I've seen growth. There's going to be people that maybe have never grabbed the mic, have never said anything about the market. You come to these sessions and then you start spitting fire. I remember when Kevin Magna started getting on and we used to role play, and then he worked on it. If you sit down with Kevin Magna, I promise you, he will put you on game on what's happening in the Tri-Valley. You'll listen to him, be like, totally, that makes 100% sense. Let's go with Kevin, right? Because of the way that he's practiced, and he's became a student of what is going on in the real estate market. So educate yourself, become a student, and then work on this part of it. How am I actually conveying this message to a consumer? Today, I want you guys to push yourself, go into Sisu, track your activity for today, track your activity from yesterday. Always at every single day, go into Sisu, track your stats, because as we get into individual coaching, different group coaching, we want to make sure to be able to serve you and help you grow in different ways. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you for everybody that stepped up, shared their thoughts, gave their gems. Thank you for the role play sessions. Misty, great job. Appreciate all of you guys for being on. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to get better. Let's continue to track. And you guys, peace. Keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision. And I'll see you all on Friday. All right, Eric, Thom, just stay on the line.
You got it.